Here we are at Atlantic Canada's first Seafood Industry Innovation Summit, and I want to tell you there's been a lot of collaboration already, a lot of people sharing ideas, the whole Atlantic Canadian ecosystem coming together to talk about best practices, how to make this a better sector. Michael, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Hey, thanks very much. So my name is Michael Good. I'm the Director of Company and Product Development with the Food Island Partnership. The Food Island Partnership is a nonprofit that was established to support and catalyze growth in the food economy, food industry on Prince Edward Island.
Wow. Okay, so that's all sectors in the food, so that's seafood, everything?
All sectors, yeah. Whenever we started out, we were really focused on our 5 core products, which are lobsters, mussels, potatoes, oysters, and beef. But we've really grown since then to incorporate more value-added products and become more sector agnostic as we bring in more and more food industry or food businesses to PEI.
Yeah. Right, and so how many people are members? Is it a member sort of thing, or
no? It's
or
not.
You're like an advocacy group, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, we were set up in 2016. We don't have a membership. We're there to support every single food company at PEI, mostly focused on the value-added consumer packaged goods companies.
I see. Okay, right. So it's to find more value along the whole process,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. So whether that's finding more values out of the potatoes that are coming out of the ground, or even coffee companies are helping now. So
okay, right. No, that's perfect, right? Because it's one thing to have the product, but then there's money to be made after the fact it's grown, right? The potatoes are a great example.
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly. So like whenever we're looking at value add, PEI has it's a smaller province, so we have very limited geography. So how can we get the most value per shipment leaving PEI? Like traditionally we've been leaving a lot of money on the table shipping out commodity products, but farmers are starting to recognize now. Farmers are starting to take the initiative to get into more value-added products. They want to know how they can make more money, how they can be more profitable, how they can be more sustainable. So we're there to help support that. Farmers and fishers, I should say.
Yeah. So Michael, of course, this summit, this series of conversations that are going on, very much focused on seafood, obviously. Yeah. But one of their big focal points, one thing that is really kind of resonating to the top here is a whole focus on automation and how that's helping this sector largely, or the opportunities that exist there. And what's your lens on that?
Automation is going to be so important moving forward, and we're already seeing that with the difficulty finding labor, with the striving for maximizing efficiency, maximizing profit margins, and energy utilization. Automation is absolutely key, and the technologies that are in display here that Botter is bringing to the table, for instance, are just incredible. So, yeah.
You know, the other big buzzword these days, not only in this sector but just about everywhere, is that of artificial intelligence and the digitization of the sector. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, traceability. Whenever you say digitalization, traceability is the number one thing that comes to my mind. How can companies very quickly look at all the source ingredients, how they were processed, which lot numbers they went into, and then where they went afterwards? Like, that's huge. To having those types of controls at a company's fingertips for an increasingly more affordable price, that's going to really advance the industry. It lends to global credibility, and of course, as we expand into global markets, especially out of Canada's Food Island, as we expand into global markets, more and more players, more and more retailers are looking for that level of traceability.
Now, I know it's obviously a focal point for you. I know that Prince Edward Island has a very narrow focus on utilizing byproduct and finding what value there are, what values exist there. What kind of conversations are you seeing around that here?
Well, number one of our key ecosystem partners on PEI, BioFood Tech, Jillian Sproul is leading that. Huge focus on waste valorization. So looking at the byproduct streams. And actually, Niels from Botter, the CEO from Botter, made a really interesting point where he reframed byproducts into co-products. Because moving forward, looking at what would traditionally be called the waste stream, looking at that as on equal footing to the primary product, whether that's fish fillets or mussels or oysters or whatever, looking at those byproduct streams as equal will reframe how we think it moving forward and allow us, one, to treat it differently, capture more value, and eliminate waste. So that's
sometimes words really matter, right? And co-product is a great way to describe it, because in fact, in many cases, there's as much value there. In some cases, even more.
Yeah, definitely, and we've seen that in the past in the wine processing industry, where people started taking out resveratrol, and that became a global sensation. But yeah, even talking about oil extraction from the various fish stocks, or we saw yesterday fish leather being produced from I think it was cod skins. So yeah, really interesting.
Now, what are you most excited about, not only for the conference, but also for Prince Edward Island as you move Canada's food island forward? What keeps you excited about this?
Me personally, I think it's really. The future is exciting. The future is exciting. So my personal interests are always in process automation and process efficiency, and how do we maximize use of resources. But I think there's that aspect, and then there's also the future of food production, like the future of food production. What I've been kind of saying lately is it lies at the intersection of food technology and biotechnology. So looking at the traditional food manufacturing, and then starting to layer on the technology piece, and then how can biotech be also leveraged to expand our production capabilities and maximize our output. And I say biotech, I know food and biotech, people tend to get a little, like, what does that mean? But there's so many different areas, and that includes things like fermentation. People think of fermentation, people know fermentation from beer, but whenever we're talking about fermentation and growing cells for meat production, or cells for fungi cultures, like things like that is what really that I'm excited about. And I should mention as well, the Food Island Partnership sister organization, the PEI Bio Alliance, has done a remarkable job at bolstering and building that biotech community on PEI.
Yeah, it's there's some great collaborations happening over there. There's no doubt about it. Had some great guests on the show this time around from Prince Edward Island, talking about all the amazing things that are happening over there. There's no wonder it's Canada's food island, and it fits very well. The summit itself for you, this conference, was it worthwhile?
100%, absolutely. I can't wait for it to be hosted on Canada's food island, and I'll be there no matter if it's there or anywhere in Atlantic Canada.
Wow, that's great. Yeah. It's wonderful to be in conversation with you. Thanks very much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. Okay.